Welcome to Stranded Alien Dawn, a game that I've put way too many hours in. And in other words, it's not that much of a challenge for me anymore. But I would really like to make some content on it. I had to think long and hard. How can I up the challenge? When it hit me, I don't have the true solo achievement. Beat the game with only one survivor. Let me introduce you to Simon, a strong survivor with boosted health and a bleed resistance. Increased speed for getting around the map, with the only downfall of really hating to build, which is pretty much me. The resemblance is uncanny. G'day everybody, Chaotic here, and are you ready? After crash landing, Simon is seemingly unafraid. I get him working away at finding any salvageable materials from the ship, while I plan out a small, simple shelter for Simon to live in. He's going to need this to survive any elements this world throws at him. He's not long begrudgingly smashing it together and adding a bed with some storage shelves. He then gathers up all the rations, first aid kits, weapons, and anything else lying around to keep it preserved underneath the roof, as they will rot and disappear sitting out in the open. Simon stopped for a quick bite to eat before spending the rest of the night just organizing everything onto those shelves. After a long first day, Simon laid down for his first alien sleepover, and he drifted off to sleep wondering if he was ever going to get rescued. Now, while he's getting some much needed shut-eye, I'll explain how I can get him to be rescued. I will need to have him research all the way to orbital communications and then build 2 satellites with an uplink in order to send out a distress beacon for a small chance to be rescued. I'll explain that a little bit better if we even get that far, as there's a lot of potential dangers along the way, and to top it all off, this is a very long process, even with 4 survivors. So I'm not even sure if I'm gonna have the time to get him to this point in only 100 days. So the real challenge is just gonna be to keep him alive long enough to make it there. After a rough sleep, he grabbed some rations for breakfast, and I realized he might want to sit, so I ordered him to make a table and a chair so he can eat off of that later. He's stranded, but there's no reason for him not to have some creature comforts. Since Simon and I are going to be here a while, I designed a little bit more room for him while he put it together. Unfortunately, we ran out of scrap metal to finish the project, so Simon grabbed a quick bite to eat before I made him deconstruct more of his spaceship. Proud of his work, I let him have a little dance party in celebration of getting a camp set up. So far, we're doing good. I need Simon to prepare for the long haul, so I had Simon observe some berry bushes to determine if they were even edible. Since he's not a horticulturist, it took him the majority of day 3 to figure out if they were even edible. But once he had it figured out, he picked the berries and he brought them back to camp. He was very happy to have something other than those terrible space rations, and I honestly can't blame him. I had him spend the rest of the day pulling apart some more of his spaceship before he tuckered himself out and he hit the hay for the night. In the morning, he had a big old helping of berries for breakfast, and then he proceeded to wrench apart the spaceship some more when I decided he needed to get some wood and build some more storage. Once he was done that, I had him go back to salvaging that ship some more, and he managed to find a sniper rifle. Damn, that's nearly top tier weaponry in this game. Hopefully he won't need that kind of firepower right away, but it's better to have and not need than to need and not have. So I had him put it away in storage. It's been 5 days now since Simon crashed here, and we got a long ways to go before he can get off this planet. I make him observe the local wildlife to make sure that they're not dangerous. Plus, they could be a good food source once his rations run out. In honor of his discoveries of the majestic Draka, I ordered him to build a statue to keep him company. I bet he's kind of feeling lonely by this stage. And once he was finished building that, I got him to observe the ox creatures that were roaming nearby. After I get him to mine up some stone for later, I had him build a research station to start getting into better technologies, so he can be better prepared for the days ahead. I decided that he should learn how to make some clothes first, as winter's coming sooner rather than later. I then cued learning to make a forge, followed by the ability to make lightning rods to better protect him from the future lightning storms, as they will seriously mess him up if he gets struck by lightning. In an effort to stock up on resources, I noticed some tall corn-like plants, and I queued that up for him to observe. It would be nice for him to have some more food sources. And after a large chunk of the day, he discovered that it could be food, and he named it grain cob. Very original, bud. I had Simon spend the rest of the evening researching away, hoping for him to learn tailoring as quickly as possible. In the morning, I had him cook up some nice grain porridge with those grain cobs. Wanting it to not be too hot, he placed it off to the side to cool off for later, hoping it'll be just right. After that, he gets back to doing some more research. Fast forward a few hours later, and he gets to eating his porridge, and unfortunately, it was too cold. I guess that's my fault. I made him research way too long. After he finished his dinner, I got him back to researching, and he had finally learned tailoring. This opened up a whole new world of possibilities. But I wanted him to craft just basic warm clothes for now. In the morning, I had him build a workbench and a tailoring bench, and I got him to work on crafting up his first replacement clothes. First, a really nice t-shirt, then a nice, crisp pair of pants, followed by a solid pair of boots. And then I realized he's probably going to want a place to put these clothes, so I had him build a wardrobe to keep them in. By the 10th day, he finished crafting himself a warm toque for his head, which I had him put on right away, as it was getting really chilly out. It wasn't long after that research on how to craft a forge was complete, and I'm super proud of him and our progression so far. I got him to work away at building 2 forges to smelt his scrap metal into metal ingots, and shortly after that he figured out how to build those lightning rods too. So I got him to research how to craft new weapons. Yeah, he does got those pistols and the sniper rifle, but he doesn't got any melee weapons for close quarters combat. Well, other than his handy dandy pocket knife, and that's not really going to save him from large predators. As he was researching away, there was a sudden skittering noises not too far away. Strangely, large beetles have appeared, but for now they look harmless. So Simon went back to cooking himself up a nice supper of grain porridge. I know those beetles are going to be an issue later, but I let him appreciate his crafting of the Dracus statue. He's alone, much like Tom Hanks, and a man needs someone to talk to.
Spending the rest of my life talking to a goddamn volleyball!
Who am I to judge for having an imaginary friend? And while he was researching away, I suddenly remembered that those beetles were out there. But unfortunately, they had changed into hunting mode and started making their way to camp. They came right on in, and they gave Simon one hell of a chomp on his leg, waking him up. He fled in terror and excruciating pain, confused as to what the hell is going on. I quickly grabbed a hold of him and got him to fight back. And he pulled out his big knife and he began to slice and dice his attackers. With one beetle left, he pulled up his pistol, and that was the end of the bugs. I had him rush back into camp and get the first aid kit, and he spent a long time trying to stitch himself up, as he took quite the beating. We both will never make that mistake of letting those bugs get the jump on us again. Once he was all bandaged up, he had to take a quick nap so he could heal up some before I could get him to work on repairing any damages those beetles had caused. I need him to finish the research on those weapon upgrades ASAP, so I put him back on researching until he finally got it figured out. I then had him finish off the day crafting his first real melee weapon, a nice, shiny, pokey spear. That should help a ton on sticking it to those awful insects from hell. After a good night's rest, Simon crafted up a backup spear just in case the first one breaks, and as he was researching his ways to build better structures, there was thunder in the distance. And yeah, I was not long getting him to build a lightning rod to prevent any more damages or unnecessary injuries. While the storm raged on, Simon kept on researching, only stopping for a bite to eat. until nighttime finally came and the storm came to rest. But Simon wasn't yet tired, and he continued on researching, eager to learn. He was so engrossed, he never even noticed he had a guest. As his guest was leaving, though, Simon finally decided to get some shut-eye. In the morning, though, I decided it's time to get a sustainable food source for Simon, and I placed down the blueprints for a garden. And after Simon had his breakfast, I got him planting the grain cobs he discovered earlier. And once he was finished with that, he went back on to researching construction basics. He really needs a better, more insulated place to live in. And it's kind of been fairly cold out, and it's bound to get colder in the fall. Once he finally finished his research project, I got him harvesting straw, sticks, and salvaging more metal to build his house. His construction skills are really low at the moment, so I placed down a sturdy fence around his garden for some easy practice for Simon to build in the morning. After he woke up and grabbed some rations for breakfast, he took a quick walk to work himself into building that fence. Remember, he really hates to build, and I really don't blame him, but he needs to if he's going to survive. He got everything in place and he began to hammer away at his garden fence. And before he even finished it, he got distracted and he went off to go cut some wood and do some salvaging. Sneaky Simon doesn't think I noticed. He didn't finish the fence. I let him carry on because even I need to just walk away from a project from time to time. After he was done salvaging, he came back and he finished the fence all on his own. I'm so proud of Simon right now. Good job, bud. He took a small breather and he cheered away at his Draka statue, and then he carried on, keeping his forges smelting, grabbing some supper, and then he installed the gate finally onto the garden. I then had him craft up a dartboard to give him something to do besides cheering at a statue all day like a weirdo. He spent the rest of the day salvaging away before finally heading to bed. Once he awoken in the morning of day 15, he got to work organizing all of his stuff, and then he spent the rest of the day salvaging, only stopping to practice his dart game and get something to eat. I had him build a target practice in the morning so he could have something to shoot at and practice that aim. I then had him build an Ufan statue, I think that's how you pronounce it, so he could worship something new. He spent a good chunk of the afternoon researching, and I redesigned the hut a bit to help him get up that construction skill a little bit more so he can build his house. And while he was building it, something clicked and suddenly he knew how to build a stick house. I got to work and I put down a very humble looking blueprint of a house for Simon. Nothing too big, as I know he hates building a lot. But he still needs enough room to move in with all his current crafting stations and all the future ones he will need down the road. Worst case though, we could have him build an addition onto it. He built the foundation and said, "Fuck it, I'm heading to bed." Relatable. Simon had a rough night sleeping. He was stuck thinking about all that building I was making him do. When morning came, he did his morning chores, and then he got to work piecing together his house. But he wasn't long running off to get more materials instead. He really doesn't want to build this, eh? But with nothing left to distract him, he finally got to work laying out all the materials in place. Taking a well-earned break after doing no building. Damn it, Simon, you need this house. Oh, there he goes. Never mind. He's getting food instead. Okay, there we go. Let's get this over with, bud. By nighttime, he had the floor completed and he went to get some much needed sleep. After a good night's rest, Simon got to work building the walls. He worked away most of the morning, completing the walls by lunchtime, where he got more straw and he started putting it together for the ceiling and roof. Proud of his work thus far, Simon celebrated with his Draka statue, and he went to bed. After having another glorious space ration breakfast, Simon completed the ceiling and he got to work on finishing the roof. And as he was nearly finished, he squirreled and he built the door, and then he harvested his grain carb garden. But after gathering the cobs, he went and he cut down a bunch more straw to finish his roof. After building a couple of more pieces, he got bored, and he went to play some darts. After a good game, he finally came back to finish the roof. Now, all that's left to do is move in finally. He went to gather some wood, and suddenly those aggressive beetles showed up again. Wasting no time, I got Simon to go and deal with them. He fought hard, and he came out victorious, but not unscathed. He had to do some quick first aid on himself. Hopefully nothing bigger comes around. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to deal with them all by himself. While Simon was resting up in bed, I set everything up to be moved into the house. And once he was rested up, he got to work moving them all in. After getting most of it moved in, Simon was still weak from the fight and he had to take a quick power nap. So while he rested, I placed down some window blueprints for some natural light. And once he was finally recovered enough, he got back to work and he built them up. Plus, he finished moving everything else into the house. I placed down some more storage in the shed when he followed along behind, building it all the way along. Simon had a rough night sleeping, and he woke up early, so I put him to work on doing even more research. After the sun had come up though, he finished researching the electrical grids, and he went on to get a bite to eat while I planned out his next research projects. Spaceship deconstruction and refrigeration. Spaceship deconstruction allows Simon to tear apart space debris until it's completely gone, giving him the chance to get CPU and electronical upgrades. After Simon moved his dartboard into the house, he finished up the storage in the shed and harvested a nice bounty of grain cobs, and of course wood. He finished off the day planting more grain cobs and salvaging for even more materials from a local debris site. He carried on salvaging for all of day 22, and yes, even 23. Simon is a machine, all the way up until day 24. Dude, that's impressive. Where I had him change it up and add some wood flooring to his foundations. This doesn't do anything technically, but it does make it look better. And it is something that helps Simon tolerate his forced vacation a little bit more because he prefers having nice flooring versus dirt flooring. I honestly don't blame him. That took up to lunchtime to get the rest of the flooring down when Simon cooked up some more food on his stove. You know, because where else is he going to cook it? Once he got that cooked up, he went back to researching, and I decided he needed a big, comfy chair to relax on. So I placed down a blueprint so he could build it. And once he begrudgingly finished building it, he leveled up his construction to 2, allowing him to build wood and stone houses. But first, he just enjoyed his new chair, like I knew that he would. All he needs now is a big screen TV, and it'll be just like a second vacation home. Now that he has upgraded his construction skills though, it's time to go from a stick house to a stone house. And I had him build some stairs, and then I set all the foundations to be upgraded to stone, and then the walls. This will help with both insulation from the outside temperatures and protecting him in case there's an attack. He carried on upgrading all through day 25. Right up until day 26, where I had him build 2 more wood stoves. These are to help heat up his house, as it's only 5 degrees in there. By the way, for all you Americans, that's 5 degrees Celsius. If you want it converted to Fahrenheit, Google it. Which is just t-shirt weather here in Canada, but for Simon, it would be best to get some warmth. Once those were built, he finished off the walls and he cooked up his next couple of meals. While he was getting caught up on some research, I set up the ceilings for upgrading, and Simon wasn't long getting to work on those ceilings. Some parts of the ceiling he couldn't quite reach, so he just went back to researching. And it was a little while before I noticed that we were short on stone as well, so I had him go and mine some more. He finished researching spaceship deconstruction on the morning of day 28, and after a good game of darts, Simon finished mining the rest of that stone. I then moved everything around meticulously so Simon could piece together, one by one, the remainder of the ceiling. After a good night's rest, we managed to get the last piece upgraded to stone. Simon should be nice and comfy when winter comes. He finished up learning refrigeration soon after that, and I had him move the window and the door for some extra room. I then had him build a refrigerator. We don't have any power to keep it cool yet, but it's not going to be doing any worse outside with his food on the shelves in the shed. So up next, we start getting into the electronics tier for a consistent power source. And to do that, we need silicon. So I had him observe some interesting and shiny rocks, which are metal and then also silicon. Now all Simon needs to do is mine it all up. In the middle of the night, while Simon was recovering from all of that mining montage, the more beetles showed up, and I kicked Simon's ass out of bed and got him to go and take them out. Though it turns out that he misplaced his spear, and he had to knife them down. I'm thinking I might have broke on him, and he didn't tell me. Once they were down, I told Simon to get a new spear, and he happily went and got it. Then he spent some time patching himself up and taking a quick rest on his comfy chair. Once rested, he spent the rest of the day smashing away at the metal and the silicon rocks. Simon woke up again a little bit early on day 34, and he started complaining about how dark it is. And it's like, of course, it's nighttime, Simon. I guess I need to get some power going to create some lights. But first, he needs to get electronics research done. So after he did some chores and he mined some more, he crafted up a new backup spear to replace his backup spear. I then had him make some bandages since his first aid kits from the ship are kind of running low. He then finished up researching oil extraction. We will need this in order to produce some fuel later for the generators. I then had to make a winter coat to keep warm, as we're only days away from winter, and we're already in the negative digits. Unfortunately, we were a little bit too late in getting that coat made, as Simon caught a cold. I told him it'll be okay. Probably. Look, I'm not that good at instilling confidence, okay? I struggle doing it to myself, let alone poor Simon here. He had that coat finished up by the morning, and I had him equip all of his cold-resistant gear, and he got to work on keeping the stoves going, and yeah, it's also snowing out now. He then spent the next days researching synthetic armor, a very versatile armor giving heat and cold resistance and reducing the damage he's going to take from attacks. He kept up on his chores while researching away until he finally had it all done by day 40. Whew, that was one heck of a long research haul. Simon must be going crazy though, because he has this whole planet to himself, not just a bedroom. Snow is falling and building up, and Simon is doing what he needs to be done in order, to eat, cook, and research. He's looking like he's settling down and starting to come to the realization he's not getting rescued anytime soon. And then I got to thinking, maybe he might want a better view of the pretty snow outside. And I got him to move his chair around into a better position in front of the window, so every time he relaxes, he can see his garden and the snow over the hill. Though he didn't seem to care too much after moving it, and he went back to researching, and he nearly got it done before being slightly too tired and went to bed. In the morning, he had a quick bite to eat, and he finally finished electronic crafting. Now that we have that researched, We now have unlocked a new bench for Simon to build it. So, I need to reorganize a bit more in order to further fit in a soldering bench. Once he had it built, I got to work placing down a lightning rod and a gas generator to get some power up, as it doesn't require any electronics. I then had to craft a power pole to transfer the electricity into the house, even though it's right next to the house. He had it all built by the morning, and I got him transferring all of his food into his now active fridge. Now, in order to build the wind and solar power, I need electronics, so I had Simon get to work on crafting them up. While making it, he remembered somewhat how to make CPUs. These will be needed one day for advanced stuff, but for now it can wait. Now that he's made some electronics, it's unlocked the ability to research more renewable energy, perfect for just one person on a busy schedule. Simon got to work on researching how he could make them, and then I got to work on placing down the blueprints once he finished researching them. He cleared out the area, and he began to weld it all together. Once he was out of electronics, Simon got back to work on soldering up some more electronics. Winter is coming to a close, and spring is on the horizon. It's starting to warm up a little, and Simon took advantage and began to plant next season's crop. I started to feel like it may be time to tame some animals, something to help Simon with having some real companionship in his day-to-day routines, instead of just cheering away at his statues. Damn, it just doesn't get any less weird, man. Maybe something he could pet, like maybe he could pet a real Draka instead. After Simon finished crafting up some more electronics and grabbed a quick meal, he quickly researched animal taming, and I took a look around to see what was nearby. And in the morning, I stumbled upon a lost dog. How it got here, I have no idea, but most likely it somehow survived a ship crashing down on the planet. Something kind of like Simon did. It's a perfect friend for him. I had Simon come and observe the dog to make sure it was friendly and not rabid. And he discovered that it was a little bit skittish, but he could probably lure it home with some dried meat. So I had Simon do some hunting and butchering, and then he built a drying rack. While we waited for the meat to dry, I had Simon do some more research so I could place down some wind turbine blueprints. We need more meat for that puppy, so I had Simon hunt a nearby Draka. It did not go down without a fight, though. I'll need to remember that if I get him to hunt more later on. It's been nearly a full year now since Simon has crashed. Simon woke up with big plans for today. A big New Year's celebration. Just him and all of his closest friends. So, just him and those damn statues, I guess. I'll be observing him, so, he's not entirely alone. He ate some breakfast with a little glee in his heart, and then he sat in his chair and enjoyed the view. He then got up and he got to work on building those wind turbines when suddenly he started coming down with yet another cold. I have a joke here about social distancing, but I'm not sure if YouTube would like me to say anything about it, so Simon carried away on researching. Until midnight he came, and he celebrated in cheering and launching fireworks. Wait, where the hell did he get those? It's been a great year so far, and I'm more than looking forward to the next year and beyond. Simon and I, until the end. Tired, Simon, though, crashed early into the morning, and he slept for a few hours before getting up and getting ready to tame that puppy. He quickly located him and offered him a chunk of dry meat, and the puppy cautiously came forward and started to eat it. And it wasn't long, deciding that Simon was friend, not food. Simon led his new best friend home, excited to not be talking to just statues anymore. Simon got home with his puppy in tow late that evening, and he headed to bed for the night. Unfortunately, though, danger has arrived. 2 giant-looking scorpion things. I woke up Simon, and I told him to get the big fucking rifle that we found in the first few days. And he came a-running, and he blasted the first one with one shot. Damn, bud. All that target practice is finally paying off. Then he took out the second one. Another clean headshot. Damn. Ah. After changing back to his pistol, Simon put his long gun away in the house for easy access later on. I placed down a feed trough blueprint for the new dog. We still gotta name him, but I haven't thought of anything yet. Oh well, I got lots of time to come up with something. I get Simon to move some things around again so we could place down a doggy bed for a place for him to sleep. The dog is now starting to get hungry, but Simon keeps trying to take a nap. That's what he gets for partying so hard. Like, come on. And I sent him out to hunt some nearby Draka. But unfortunately, as he shot one, his nearby buddy came charging in. Oh crap. I guess another one's jumping in to help. Hopefully the others... Ah, crap. Well, Simon's health is holding, and he's nearly got that one down. Oh shit, Simon, why are you running? Running! Simon! Fight! Oh, snap. They knocked him right the fuck out. He's got a good amount of health left. He's not bleeding too badly, so he should be fine when he wakes up. I waited for Simon to get up well into the morning, and then the afternoon, and then suddenly it was night. I'm starting to get worried here. By the morning of day 52, my yet-to-be-named puppy started freaking out from not being fed yet. Just started attacking things in the house. Come on, Simon, wake up! Shortly after that, I get a pop-up. Simon is now starving too. Man. And it wasn't long for it to start getting worse as a thunderstorm is starting to roll in. Took a look at Simon's health, and he's not doing too good when suddenly... Man, rest in peace, you unnamed puppy. What do you guys think we should have called it? Let me know down below. That really is my fault. I should have been paying better attention. All that really is left to do right now, though, is hope Simon gets up sooner rather than later. Or we're done. And I'm not quite ready to quit playing yet. I'm having way too much fun. Simon, please, get up, bud. Holy fuck, he's alive. He just fainted. He might die still. Simon, you've been down for 4 days. Get up. Simon. The dog's dead. You're dying. I'd much rather this be a happy ending where you don't die here. Simon. Simon. Get up. Simon's starving to death. Simon! Wake up! Simon! Simon! Heal yourself! Simon! Come on, buddy! Don't do this to me! We were just starting this adventure! I had plans! We were going all the way up to day 1000! Come on! Come on! Simon! Simon! Please! Don't do this to me, Simon. Don't do this. Get up. Get up, buddy. Get up. Come on, Simon. You can do this. It's, oh, man. Extreme pain. Shattered bones. Melanin. Malunion? What is that? I don't know. M-A-L-U-N-I-O-N. I'll look it up. Down he goes. Starved to death. Rest in peace, Simon. Rest in peace. Oh, no. I failed. But hey, if you want me to try again, hit that like button, and if I get 3K likes, I'll come back and I'll be redoing this challenge with somebody else on Stranded Alien Dawn. Until then, bye!